The last time I saw a millennial and decided to have a beer with him, he decided to have a craft beer called Bira91, and he was just going gaga over it. I tried it; it was amazing, and this was a few years ago. And then I realized, my God, this man and this beer literally go hand in hand over here, right? They like belong to each other. So today I thought we would look at what Bira91 has done. Look at how it has lost its way, perhaps, and is there a way in which the hero's arc,
Yeah.
wherein you move from let's say the a tale of woe to a tale of success, overcoming all the challenges that come your way. Bira91 has had a few issues. So, Janavi, welcome. And can you talk us through the context and what the current stuff is?
Yeah. So I don't know if people have noticed, or if they have, that's wonderful. Since the last 1 year, 1.5 years, Bira has been off shelf. So the problem was Bira's shares have been trading on the gray market since it's a private listed company. But because the trading has been so high, Bira has accumulated close to 200 stakeholders. Now the problem is, the moment the shareholder value comes to this number 200, a company can no longer call itself a private limited company. It has to
Yeah.
shift to a limited company. So now, for the alcobev, that means getting licenses in every state of the country, for every kind of, be it merchandise, be it your alcobev space, distribution licenses, manufacturing licenses. So, and in that duration, you cannot obviously sell your products. So Bira, since the last 1 year, has been struggling with getting the licenses. On top of that, the biggest problem that Bira has faced is there are two major markets from which its 40% sales come, which is Delhi and Andhra Pradesh. Both of them saw a change in government. On top of that, in 22, Delhi saw a liquor license policy change.
Yeah.
So all of that has been very, very detrimental. It has been like a domino effect, which has been, going and going and going for Bira. And this has been coming on top of the COVID duration, when the Alcobev was obviously losing out because the thekas were closed, liquor shops were closed. So now the question is ripe for Ankur Jain to see how Bira makes a comeback in the market.
I'd like to add a couple of things as well to the context. I mean, we saw a bit of competition also coming in, right? Like White Owl and stuff like that coming into the market. And I also wanted to perhaps share a little perspective about the market itself. So if I look at the total beer market, it's Kingfisher which is still ruling the roost. So it is, and if I look at the beer market in India, it's close to 400 billion, right? And if I look at what the craft beer market is, right,
Mm.
it is about 4 billion. Okay.
Mm.
So now if I
Yeah.
look at the overall beer market and if I look at the craft beer market, that is about, let's say, around 10%, let's say. So now when I look at 10% of the overall beer market, and considering what Bira's strategy is to go to tier 2 and tier 3 towns, it's something that we need to consider. Also,
Yeah.
what we want to consider is traditionally, uh, alcohol sales seem to be a distribution game.
Yeah.
So what happens is that you're putting stuff out there and it's like a land grab, literally. So what I think we need to consider is to be fair to the way in which the old playbook is, and wondering whether the same playbook will work in the future, especially for craft beer. I think that would complete the picture. Anything more to add before we come up with other stuff?
Yeah, so agreed that the distribution plays a very important role, and Bira's game is not just, it's not just craft beer. You can get a bottled beer. You can, Bira's value proposition is its flavor.
Yeah.
Now, the biggest problem with any, be it Algobev or any food and beverages company, is how do you tell people that I have a good flavor without them tasting the product? Now, how do you get them to taste the product without giving a value proposition to them, without being known in the market, right? And on top of that, see, whenever you are going out to buy, say, a packet of chips or a chocolate or something, it's easy because it's a low intent product. You
Yeah.
just, you can get it on Blinkit, or you can get it on a Kirana store or whatever. Now, alcohol is a very planned category. You either have alcohol when you're going out with friends, or when you're having a house party, or when you have a date or something, right? So, and it's not like you have an unlimited supply. There are liquor shops, you have to travel for at least 10 to 15 minutes to go to a liquor shop. It's a very planned purchase. You have, and it's not an activity that you just do it in yourself,
Yeah.
right? It's mostly something that you either drink with friends. So, what you choose, the brand that you choose has to resonate with everybody, and somewhere that brand becomes your identity. And so, for these high intent products, if you don't know the brand, or if you don't per se believe in the brand, you will not purchase it for a very occasional kind of for any occasion, which is something that alcohol is primarily used for.
Interesting. Now that you mention it, there is a lot of challenges for our hero Bira91 to get over. But I'm just trying to understand who the
Yeah.
persona is, right? And the reason
Yeah.
why I mentioned the millennial is because
Hmm.
if I look at overall traditionally craft beer and something similar, I understand that it's flavored beer and stuff like that, but it's all taste wise, it's probably in a similar bucket. Now, if I look at what the millennial is, so who drinks craft beer the most? It's the boomers, by the way. It's really weird. The second generation is the millennials. Now the millennials are obviously going to drink more than the boomers.
Yeah.
So even though they represent about 32% worldwide of craft beer drinking, it is millennials. Gen Z and Gen X are not anywhere close. So that is why the millennial persona becomes really critically important for us to understand craft beer, right?
Hmm.
And the second thing which I would like to say is, okay, so when I'm looking at a persona, what am I actually looking at? So then obviously millennial is a stereotype. So we need to construct a really, really strong persona around the craft beer drinker, right?
Yeah.
So any clues? Have you noticed? Are you a craft beer drinker? Are there people who, yeah? So can
Yeah,
you?
I am actually a very big fan of Bira.
Right.
I first time I drank Bira was in Mumbai, and that was when Bira had initially began. And I think Mumbai was its pilot market. Mumbai or Delhi was its pilot market. So I had tasted Bira. Then I became an absolute fan, and since the last 1 year, I have been flocking the liquor shop that I go to, and kept on asking him, "Bhaiya, Bira hai kya? Bira hai kya?" And he's like, "Nahi aa raha
Did you
hai."
try? Did you try other ones? The
I tried Bira was not in stock at all, nowhere. I mean, even
No,
in the
did you
bars.
try the other competitive brands?
I've tried Simba, I've tried White Owl. To be honest, the taste is nowhere close. In fact, even in Bira, the Bira White and Bira Blonde, a completely different taste palettes. Which actually, if we are talking about product, right? Whenever you go to a pub, you'll see your friends specifically asking for a Kingfisher Ultra or a Kingfisher Premium.
Yes.
They will reject Kingfisher if they don't get their specific brand, or they go for a Bud Light or a Bud Ultra or whatever, right? You never see people specifically ask for a particular beer. In fact, I've never seen people ask for beer per se. It's mostly if it's on tap, they'll order a tar or a pitcher
Yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because somewhere maybe it's cheaper or somewhere it's new or whatever. But I've never seen them be sticky to the brand, which is very confusing to me, because Bira has been such a you know it has been a very differentiating kind of a beer in the market.
Right.
uh, we'll come to that. Let's
No, but
finish the
I want to probe because we are on the persona piece, because that's
yeah.
that's how we rock and roll. So
Yeah.
I'm actually looking at you as a persona right now. So I was wondering why you like Bira so much. Were you captivated by the taste, or did you know the backstory?
I was captivated by the taste. Then I looked into the backstory
Okay.
of I mean, the innovation really happened of the backstory of Ankur Jain, of how he brought taste of the Indian palate to the beer segment, which is not primarily known for its taste palette at all. It's just known for the buzz or
Yeah.
the party feeling.
Right. So now this means that there is a certain value that you have as a millennial Bira drinker. And did you know that the 91 comes from the telephone thing plus?
Code of
Yeah.
91, yeah.
So if you know this, it means that there is something in your subconscious that is really connecting to the Indianness of Bira, right?
Yeah.
And clearly there is, since I know you a lot now, it is clearly something to do with your psyche. You are very proud of India. You're somebody who wants to wants India to succeed, and is all for its growth. And there is some connect to this, either at a conscious or at a subconscious level. Would you agree?
I would definitely agree.
Yeah. So now this is the power, right? Now here is the weird thing. If I look at the persona, and we've kind of understood the context and the trends and the competition and everything else around it,
Yeah.
uh, Bira's North Star, where it's trying to go, is a bit of a question mark. I'm not very clear as to where it's trying to go. Because if I'm going to tier 2 and tier 3 towns and playing the distribution game, I am not sure. Because if I look at beer as a category, and if I cut craft beer in that, that still means that you're in the innovators and early adopters. You have not crossed the tipping point. You're in 13% if you're trying to become mainstream as Kingfisher, right?
Yeah.
Now, so which means that you can either play in your niche, or you want to cross the tipping point and go mass. If you want to go mass, what is your story? Okay, first of all, what is your story to go mass, so that your tier 2 and tier 3 towns would be accepting you? Or if you want to stay niche, how do you win across a competition within that 13% and win? So there can be two potential stories that come out, emanate from what the North Star is. So I think it's very critical for any company to literally understand what they're trying to do. You can't achieve both. You can't achieve both, can you?
That is a very interesting point, and till date, I have not been able to find Bira's North Star. To be very honest, I have not been able to find their story arc. Now, if we take a step back and talk about one competitor, which is Jarlsberg, right?
Yeah,
Jarlsberg is named after an elephant, which has absolutely nothing to do with the beer.
yeah,
Its
yeah,
symbol is an elephant. Now, the amazing part is that half the people won't even know that elephant is its logo. They don't even go to that level,
yeah,
right? They just know Jarlsberg because Jarlsberg has positioned itself as a party drink.
yeah,
Its taste has nothing to do with party. Its taste has nothing to do with youngsters. It's the bottling has no effect whatsoever on the young generation. The packaging has, I mean, does not give a clue or any subconscious cues that it's about a party drink. Just merely on how it has positioned itself through, be it through "Where's the Party" thing that Jarlsberg does, which has gone so viral, or be it through their advertisements, etc., etc., etc. Everybody associates Jarlsberg with party now, or everybody associates Kingfisher with, maybe Chakna or Peanuts or a reunion or whatever.
yeah.
Bira has no association whatsoever,
Hang
which
on,
is,
hang on, hang on. Bira
yeah,
has a monkey. Okay, and I'll tell.
yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah,
Bira has a monkey, and the weird thing about the monkey is that I actually went to their Instagram page, and there was some Chitrangada Singh who was interviewing Ankur Jain, and Ankur Jain was talking about how the monkey came about. And what he was saying, which is an interesting story actually, but they have not really worked on it. The story is that every beer goes, especially if they're appealing to the masculine sort of thing, so of pretty girls, bikinis, etc. So it's all external. And what he wanted to do was actually focus. He calls it an inward-looking beer, which is very funny because what he says is that if you have bira, you'll get the monkey out. So that's actually what the whole thing is. And I
yeah.
found it really interesting because they actually had a bit of a germ of a story. They have a position, they have a point of view which seemed to resonate, especially with the millennials from a value perspective.
Yeah, I was actually coming to this point itself that you have
Oh,
pointed
okay.
out. Yeah, they have the monkey, but they haven't played on the monkey.
Yeah, right.
That's the problem. I mean, other brands, they don't have any inherent quality in them or any logo or packaging that can resonate with people. Bira has that. Bira came into the market with monkey as its value proposition. They did not play on the flavor. They did not play on the Indianness. They played on the monkey, but they did not make the monkey go big,
I,
which is my biggest complaint.
absolutely. The monkey has not become an ape. It's I don't know. It's not evolved. All that I'm saying is that if I look at, like, again, if you normally, once you understand the North Star, and if you're sorted with the North Star, you'll immediately be able to connect your persona to the core value that
Yeah,
your persona holds dear, and what
yeah.
you connect to, right? And if I, let's say for instance, if I'm trying to only do a niche thing and not go to tier 2 and tier 3 towns, I'm not saying Bira should do that, and God bless them, they can get in touch with us for the other story as well. But for now, for the sake of this specific interaction that we are having, imagine that it is just playing within the niche. And imagine that you have a monkey and you have a story, and you have this whole millennial angle. So you have a millennial monkey going for it, really. So in terms of the drinking, now how can we convert that into a story was what I was wondering. And
Yeah.
I just explored their Instagram page. Have you done so?
Yeah, a little bit, not much.
Okay, so, do you have any thoughts about the way in which it's playing out right now, or is it really playing out?
I think they started out nicely. They got diluted somewhere, try to, make it more about the beer rather than bira, right? And even if you look at their campaigns, they've done the make play campaign, they've done with run with bira, they've done sustainability, etc., etc. Nothing point towards one, association or
That's
nothing.
that's exactly it, right? Because if I look at what their playbook is, okay, on Instagram, it is an old style playbook. Okay, it is actually a it's a conventional media old style playbook, typical interviews ka clips then put up on social media. There is no story about the millennial monkey. Okay,
Yeah,
there is no story
exactly.
about the millennial monkey. There is no continuity, there is no stand, there is no like, I stand for this is the Bira page, join me. It is just a bunch of random clips. So what you're doing is that you're misusing the ability that Instagram perhaps provides you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, that makes sense. I mean, if I talk about monkey, right, the first thing that comes to my mind is my mom always telling me, "Bandar hai mera." ठीक है. Now, if supposing Bira connected that to
Hmm.
the inner child in you, which
Yeah.
I think they wanted to do, but it didn't come out. Now, everybody is running around with that corporate mindset. I need to succeed. I need to make money, etc., etc. And somewhere, our biggest problem, what we need very costly therapies for our entire life, is that we forget our inner child. Now, imagine one beer brand telling you that, boss, you don't need a 2,000 rupee therapy session. Literally, I can bring that inner child come out within you, and you can, connect with who you actually are. There is no need to rush, there is no need to run. Every corporate on a Friday night will want to drink bira just to feel that they are getting relieved of that corporate nonsense, just to get in touch with that inner monkey.
I think there is a story there. I think let your inner monkey out, or there's an Eagles song, by the way, which says, "I'd like to meet your inner child and kick its lily ass," or something like that. And it's a really funny one. But coming back to what you're saying, I think there is something about the inner child or the monkey coming out. And there's this really famous term which millennials have made famous, actually, and it's called adulting. So
Yeah,
we could potentially, I mean, Bira, if you're listening, we'll give you our charges later. But essentially, adulting, monkey business, monkeying around, monkey, these are potentially really strong things. The thing that I would like to, perhaps that's my final point over here. Uh, I think Bira is stuck because even though they understand the values, they're stuck at the North Star level, and they're also stuck at the format level, which means that they don't know how to convert their values into a story. And
yeah,
I think that the conversion of that into a story requires you to completely tap into the millennial mindset and move away from campaigns. Move
yeah.
away from campaigns. I don't know. Anything to say, Janavi?
Either move away from the campaigns or make the campaigns point towards your North Star. Now, Bira has done great on the operational level. It is an amazing product.
Mm.
Now, you look at the marketing, great logo, right? Amazing packaging,
Yes.
good bottling. I mean, the kind of bottling that Bira has itself is very different from, say, a Heineken or a
Yes.
Budweiser or whatever, right? It's the color itself is so cool, right?
Yeah.
Now, you have all of that. Then the biggest thing that you have a very willing audience.
Yes.
So everything in the marketing playbook or the product fitment playbook, it's check check check. Now you need to figure out what your objective is, what your north star is, what your vision for the company is. I think one of the biggest problems with Bira is it has done great on the product level, but its mission and vision is somewhere missing in their own mind, which is why they are not able to connect their story to their 10-year vision. And somewhere because of this, their market is getting diluted. Do I go to tier 1 cities, metro cities? Do I go to tier 2 3 cities? Agreed that distribution is perhaps very lucrative in the tier 2 3 cities, especially now with the all those tariffs games and everything going on, where all of the consumption is coming inward. Disposable incomes are increasing in the tier 2 3 cities, and primarily for the beer market, apart from Kingfisher, tier 2 3 is a very untapped kind of a market. So I won't say that it's a bad move to go into the tier 2 3 cities. In fact, the fact that Bira did not have a story per se that resonates with the metro cities might actually be a blessing in disguise for them to enter the tier 2 3 cities now, because then they can make those cities their niche.
No, I
But
think
now, if you're going in that segment, now you need a story, because there will be no comeback after this.
No, I agree. And tier two and tier three cities, please understand what you're saying is you have to skim the market because you're still selling something which is not going to be mass. You're still
Yeah.
looking at that specific segment, that 10%, but what you're doing is you're skimming the market. So you're going from tier one to tier two to tier three. So that's how you're doing. You're still connecting to the same set of values, and you have to be present where everybody is, which means on Instagram, on YouTube, and you have to. So when I said I'm against just campaigns, I think what they need is that story to come through in a very organic way. Then you
Yeah.
can build a campaign around it.
Yeah. And,
Is
and
what.
not just and not just the online channels, but the offline
Oh yeah,
promotions you do,
absolutely.
where you connect with people. Supposing so tier 2 and 3 cities, they are very famous for their education hubs, right? So
Yes.
if Bira is sponsoring a college's hub,
Yes.
college's fest, for example, a Pune
Yes.
fest or a Chandigarh fest,
Yeah.
I mean, you connect with those people, you make them taste your beer, and these are the Gen Zs or the millennials that will grow up to keep drinking beer for the next 50 years of their life. So
Yes,
as simple as that.
absolutely. I think on that matter of taste and goodwill, let's close this one, Janavi. I think we've kind of gone for this. I think is perhaps our longest. So,
Honest.
it must be because we are so passionate about the brand and the beer drinking, I suppose.
Yeah.
So on that happy note, thank you so much for joining us, guys. And do let us know what you think in the comments. What we are going to do is we are going to keep doing this stuff, the making sure that we take things apart and try to construct them in a way that could help a brand or two with some strong storytelling. Thank you.
Thank you.